Good evening, everybody. Excited to have the opportunity to be here tonight. And we'll get started here momentarily. Cool. There we are. All right. There we go. All right. So I'm George, Maple Syrup William. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And my usual co-hosts are both won't be with us tonight. So if you want to stick around, we're going to be talking about metabolic health. We're going to talk about your brain. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's. We're going to talk about those things tonight. We're going to talk about hope and things that you might not know. And feel free to chat in the chat with questions as we go through some things. We're going to talk a lot about science. We're going to talk about a lot of my personal experience. And I'm going to share some stories. And so that's really what we do every week on Sunday night. It's 8 Central Time. And we share stories of hope. We share stories of experience. We share stories and science. And so the latest research that's come out in regards to metabolic health in relationship to the brain. And one of the interesting things that is important, I think, to understand is that, well, I think today, in today's society, where we're at with all the information, the possibilities of information, really, don't you think that to be illiterate today is to refuse to unlearn and relearn the truth and the facts, to wallow with, well, I heard or I thought or they said, I've always thought, those are really nice excuses. In today's environment, with the amount of research that's being done more and more, with the explosion of the ability to calculate faster, it is really, really, really interesting how the discovery of the truth on studies and research that's been done in the past that said that this caused that and then created a myth based on a lie and created an entire dogma and belief system. And as it's uncovered, we can't go back and punish those people. Can we? I mean, just the simplest things from the studies that all of a sudden fat makes you fat, and a whole industry was born, wasn't it? An entire industry was born on low carb and all that. Was to what? At the end of the day, to sell. Well, let's put it. At the end of the day, was to profitize. At whose expense? At the public expense. Not just monetarily, but monetarily and health-wise. Think about that. Entire industries and entire wealth systems have been created on the propagation of lies, of fake, of fraud. I didn't like the guy that did this study, didn't like how the data worked, so they kind of pushed some of those things out to skew it to what? Make them look smarter and richen the industries that could profitize from it and cause you and your family metabolic harm, metabolic health harm. And so therein lies kind of like, if you really want the truth, let's look at it. Let's see what the research says now. Let's see what's going on now to see how and see what is going on. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And we do this every week. We talk about mental health, metabolic health, dementia, Alzheimer's, caregiving, and hope. And so if you don't want to have hope, go someplace else. Go watch teddy bears and puppy dogs. If you don't want to have a discussion on health, mental health, and natural, not pharmaceutical, natural assistance, stay here. If you're all pharmaceutical, go someplace else. You'll be much happier there. Because we're going to talk about resources and information that we have gained. We're going to talk about from my personal experience. Has anybody on here ever had brain fog? Brain fog, you forget where you put your keys, right? I thought I put them up here. Oh wait, no, I thought, where did I put my keys? And they were in your pocket the whole time? Or maybe they're in the car. Or maybe wherever the heck you found them. And some of you cheat now, don't you? You put those little tags that you can, where's my phone? Where's my key? Where's my watch? Where's my house? Those are not preventing you from what? Those aren't preventing you. Those aren't helping you remember. Those aren't skills. Those are signs that you have an issue, that you're on a path that you can fix, that you can reverse, that you can deal with your metabolic health in a way that's not going to get away from you. Does that make some sense? Yeah, forgetting. You know it. Forgetfulness. Oh, I forgot. Oh. And sometimes people say it's a sign of aging, right? Have you heard that? It's a sign of aging. But is it? Maybe. But what age? What's the automatic qualification for forgetfulness or brain fog? What's that timeline? I'm 74. I'm 74, and I'm going to tell you part of the story how I was really concerned about my brain health. I mean, seriously concerned about my brain health. I'm not now. I can tell you stories of others too, where they've been the same way. So we're going to talk about brain fog. We're going to talk about some things that involved, and we're going to displace some myths. One of the things I want you to consider is the idea that some people would say it's genetic. Is it? It could have a propensity, but then explain to me, if you will, identical twins, mirror twins, identical twins, where one would develop Alzheimer's and die, and the other just celebrated her 80th birthday. If it's genetic, riddle me that one. You could have a propensity. You could have the APO4 on doubled up, but does that mean you are destined? Are you destined to Alzheimer's? Are you? Based on what? I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell you that's not true. Let's have a discussion about metabolic truths. See, food got me into this mess, and I believe food will get me out. That's the name of my show. My normal social media show, food got me into this mess, food got me out. And I believe that. That's why I call the show. Can you see the difference here on this guy? What can you see here? The difference between these two people. This is just a little bit over a year apart. Look at that inflammation. Look at that. Like a pumpkin head. And look at this. This was a January and this was a June. So, do you feel older than you should? You might be what? You might be fast forwarding and not even know it, and you're aging. The labs, anybody's labs say you're normal, but you don't feel great? Yeah. This thing's going on, aren't there? How about you have cravings that show up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon? What about that? What about the fact that it is more than a habit? Here's me. Here is me. From Mr. Belly So Big to maple syrup to a 74-year-old that had a 28-inch waist. I went from here to there. Pick the picture, pick the size, pick the weight. I have been a professional yo-yo dieter. But what happened was in this process of being Mr. Belly So Big, my blood sugars were so far out of whack that I can't even tell you. How bad? A year ago, in the summer of 24, fall, during that period of time,
I need more information.
oh,
Could you clarify what you're asking about?
oh, that's funny. My guys want to talk to me. I like AI and what they want to ask me about questions. But the thing is that my fasting blood glucose was 834 with an A1C of 18.1. Now, you may not know what that means. I'm going to tell you. I shouldn't have celebrated my 74th birthday. I shouldn't have celebrated my 74th birthday. I should be gone. A fasting blood glucose, a 20-hour fasting blood glucose of 800 plus. I should have been in a coma in intensive care. I should have had a heart issue. I should be dead. Look up 834. You'll see that is critical care immediately necessary. I didn't call the clinic back. I didn't call the lab. The lab was calling me that afternoon because I was golfing. And I figured too, I'm a guy. I'm in denial. I knew I needed the blood work done because I knew I had all kinds of things going on. So I called them the next morning. Then they ran me through triage. And if I had told them that I had any of the questions they asked, am I dizzy? Am I nauseous? Do I have ringing in my ears? Is my vision cloudy? Am I peeing constantly? Am I exhausted? Am I tired? Is my heart rate going fast? Am I sweating? Have I lost my balance? If I'd have said yes to any of those things, they would have sent an ambulance to pick me up. I drove to the clinic. And when I went to the clinic, and it's a posh clinic, they took me back like I was in an inner city ER, and there were 4 attendees in the room, plus staff. And they went through the triage questions. Are you fainty? Are you nauseous? Are you blurry vision? Is your ears ringing? Have you been weak? I mean, is your heart rate going fast? A gazillion different things. I said, no. I said, what? What's up? They said, were you fast? I said, yes, I had fasted for 20 hours. I said, what's my number? And they said, 834. People die. People have organ failures at 500 and 600. If my fasting was 834, what was my normal? If my HbA1c was 18.1, which means 18% of my red blood cell, 18% of my red blood cell was covered with sticky, gummy, yucky glucose, rusting it, taking space where oxygen is supposed to be. Then that's a 90-day average. They should have, normal protocol, they should have taken and put me immediately to the hospital, put me on insulin and a bunch of other things. That's a standard process. Probably put me in intensive care just to make sure. But I said, thank you. And I walked out of the clinic with no medication, no medical intervention, no plan from the medical forces. Why? Probably I'm an idiot, right? You might say. But I believe that food got me into this mess and food will get me out. Because I don't believe it's genetic. You may have a propensity to it. But if things are genetic, why does it take so long to develop, if at all? Now, if something's genetic, you're born with it and it's there, right? But some things, no. Some things are cooked, if you will. Some things are stimulated, if you will. They develop because of other factors. And what are some of those other factors? What are some of the things that could occur? Well, gosh, I don't know. Maybe we've got things like insulin resistance. Maybe, right? Insulin resistance. Maybe we have a gut dysbiosis. Well, that means the gut's not working right. Alzheimer's and brain health. We're going to talk about all these things. Cortisol, skin. These are all things that happen. They're all things that can happen. And they all relate to this. So, yeah, this is me. You can see that I've been fat, sick, and nearly dead. I've been down the street before. I created a program, I think it's called Diet Whack-A-Mole. There wasn't a diet that didn't come up that I didn't try. And what is try? Try is the simple thing of trying is planning to fail with honor. That's what try is. Yoda said there, do or do not, there is no try. Is that correct? Here's my friend Jennifer. Now, you would recognize her if you saw any of these pictures because what she looks like today. And she's usually on here on Sunday night. She's one of the co-hosts. She just did a gazillion-dollar walk for Alzheimer's in Boca. Fabulous girl. If you know her, you got to love her. Her manifestations and changes are incredible. Incredible. But she's also a caregiver for her parents. So when we're talking about insulin and insulin resistance, one of the things about insulin that's interesting is that sometimes people's foresight is shorter than their foreskin. I really believe that. People hear the word insulin and they immediately jump to, I'm not diabetic, so it doesn't apply to me. Really? How so? Do you not have insulin in your body? Do you not eat food? I mean, do you ever swallow food? Drink something? How do you think your cells, your muscle cells, your brain cells, any cell in the world that you have, how do you think they get the energy to work? They need insulin. They need this little bugger, insulin, to get the sugar in, to get the glucose in. It's a key. It acts like a key. Simplified, but that acts like a key. And when you look at it, when you eat, you can see when you eat, see how this goes up? You eat. Now, this is natural. Everybody does this. It's not an abnormal thing. Not something that diabetics do, that people with high blood sugar don't do, or anybody. Mice, birds, fish, they eat, there's going to be a glucose spike because once the food is absorbed, goes in, it's going to create energy. And so there's going to be a spike, right? Now, what brings a spike down is time, but insulin. Insulin is a hormone. So you have it. It doesn't say diabetic. It says insulin. It's a hormone. Okay? And what happens is it does these things. It stimulates fat storage. Anybody feeling a little bit fatter than last year maybe? Or this summer? Are we going into skinny season, lose weight season, or are we going into sugar season? Couple weeks is what? Thanksgiving. And then it's Christmas. Then New Year's and Super Bowl, Valentine's, right? All about food. All about sweets. Some people say, well, I don't like sweets. I don't like sweets. I don't eat sweets. Good. Do you like chips? Oh, I love chips. Well, what happens when you eat chips? Anybody? What happens when you eat chips? They what? They are what? A starch that turns to what? Oh, turns to glucose, blood sugar. And when that happens, then what happens? Oh, you need insulin to go put it back into the muscles to get it put on to wherever it's going to go. Yeah. So remember I said at the start, open your mind and be aware of the fact that you have to unthink and unlearn to relearn the truth. Because this applies to you, whether you like it or not. You can be up the Nile River but you have insulin. Same way as you have testosterone or estrogen or progesterone, cortisol. Yeah, it's hormone. And they don't work independently of each other. They have an influence on and about each other. Think about that. There's no isolated, oh, I didn't eat any sugar. All I eat is protein. I don't eat anything but protein. Okay. You don't think that protein can break down into different parts? You don't think that some of it is used as energy? Are you that naive? Well, you might be. I don't know. Well, I heard. Oh, good. You heard. What is the research you did? What clinical studies have you looked at? What university published research have you followed? Are you reading? Are you researching? Insulin resistance is really an issue. And this is where we get into the idea of brain fog. Remember, we just looked a minute ago at that spike right here? That spike? It takes 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, depending on what you have to eat, to bring that spike down. But if you're eating, and what you've probably been told, I don't know, has anybody here been told to eat 3 meals a day and snack every 2 hours or so? And some of you just do it, right? Well, what happens? Remember that one single spike? If you eat every 2 hours or 3 hours or 1 hour, you always have something. You always are sipping on a Coke or a soda or a Fupa Poopa latte coffee, and then some nuts and some pretzels and then a granola bar, and then it's time for lunch, and I'm going to have some fries, and I'll have a salad, and I'll have a dressing, but I don't look at the ingredients in the dressing, and I have some breadsticks, and they're so good, and chips, and then I'll have some popcorn later. Every time you swallow, you cause another one of those spikes. Every time you swallow, you create a spike. See that? Every time. So if we're eating like this, when aren't you spiking? Just ask it. When aren't you spiking? Oh, at the end of the day, when you stop eating. Okay. See what happens is glucose has to work its living tail off to get that glucose into the cell, and eventually there's more glucose and there's room for the cell. And then what happens? Have you ever even thought about it? No, because you're still too what? You're still too busy snacking and swallowing, chewing, sipping, and drinking, and eating and nibbling. Snacky. Yeah. And when that happens, look at all the different things. Look at all the different things that can happen to you. Look at all the different issues. And these are some. These are some of the things that you might struggle with. I mean, do you struggle with any of these at all? Yeah. In fact, I created a board and I wrote down and systemized it to the body, and I came up with 68 different symptoms. 68. I had 58 of them, of this thing we call insulin resistance. That at the very top, there's the neurological cognitive issues. Now, I didn't have all 68. Now, by the way, this is nothing to have be proud of. I should be dead. I should never even been able to get down here because I was so bad. But I didn't have all 68 because, well, I am a male. So I am not going to be internally worried about irregular menstrual cycles or polycystic ovarian syndrome, things like that. That makes sense? Yeah. Of course, ladies aren't going to have erectile dysfunction. But everybody, think about this. A lot of times they hear guys, well, I want to lose weight. I want to get rid of my belly fat. What they're really, a lot of times they're saying, I want my erection back. Just being honest. Yeah. This whole system, this whole issue, what is it doing to our relationships? How is it affecting our marital relations? I'm just asking. Have you ever noticed how people, after the end, when the end of a relationship, if it does end, and now they're going back out, have you ever noticed that all of a sudden they're doing everything can to what? Lose weight, be more attractive, going to the gym, cutting the hair, all those types of things? Why? Why weren't we working on it before? Just asking. See, going back to the simplest thing in the world, what we did to ourselves, we just kept eating. We just kept eating, trying to pack in that, making insulin work its butt off, right? Making it do the job that wasn't designed to do it like that. It just created all of these issues and more. And then we get what? Brain fog, belly fat. Guys, you cannot outrun, you can't outwork a bad diet. It's physically impossible. You can't do it. You go to the gym, you just keep working out. Good for you. By the way, if you ate before you went to the gym, you're not burning fat. You're burning what? Glucose. Do you know that? Did you know that when you eat or swallow, other than just plain simple water or a couple other possibilities, you create that availability of glucose into the body, into the bloodstream. You cannot burn fat if there's glucose floating around. Insulin has got to come down. Insulin has to be low in order for the fat to go. If the glucose is high, the insulin's high, guess what's happening? That's the fuel source. That's the energy that's going to be used. Problem is, if there's too much, the key doesn't work. Glucose doesn't get into even like the brain. Think about this. And if it doesn't get in there because there's too much garbage in that can't come out, your brain cells begin to starve. Brain cells love ketones. They'll take the glucose, but after a while, there's no more room in the end. It can't get in there. Now the brain starts to starve. And you see the shrinkage inside the brain in images and larger gaps of nothingness, the void. As the brain starts to shrink and the spaces begin to expand, your memory goes. Now it's reversible. It is preventable. So how about we do this? How about maybe let's consider not going down that path. Like Vicky. Look at her. Vicky's a great friend. Super girl, smart in a whip. And she has changed her trajectory of her entire life. Yeah. Keith is a great friend. He is awesome. He's so much fun, and he's morphing and changing all the time. This picture up here, he looks fatter now. You should see him now. My goodness gracious. He was literally where I should have been dead in November. Keith in January did die. And they brought him back. His body, he had open foot diabetic sores that they could touch the bone. And he's healed. And that's this year. Food got us into this mess. Food will get us out. John, if you saw some of John's picture, he makes Lou Ferrigno look like a midget. John is such a cool guy. I love this guy. We have a lot of fun together. But he has changed his life. Both he and Keith were diabetics for over 2 decades. And they really followed all of the standard medical care, and they only got worse. Like me, they've learned that food got us into this mess, food got us out. They're no longer those issues like me. I went from, by the way, punchline, I went from 834 to 90 in 107 days without really changing my diet, without counting calories, without going to the gym, without doing all kinds of metabolic restrictions, counting calories, weighing my food. Did some intelligent things, but still have pizza, still have pasta. Tonight had chicken cordon bleu, sweet potato and peas. Oh, and a piece of birthday cake because Cheryl's birthday party was yesterday, and she turned 80, and I turned 74. So anyway, but yeah, not that restricted. We just add fiber in front of our meal. We add fiber in front of the meal, and pretty much fasted the rest of the day. Guess what? Maintain a low insulin level, allowing what? The ability to burn fat. Dr. Kinney, a marvelous man, all but died last year in May. And in August, was exposed to the protocol of food. Food got us in this mess, food got us out. It did. Just 3 drinks a day, and turned his life literally around health-wise. He spent 2 months in a hospital, aspirating on his own, fluids, like being waterboarded. Yeah, there is hope. But what we don't want you to do, what we want to help educate you so you don't go down this path, so you don't have to experience the traumas, the medical traumas, the health traumas, in my case, near miss. Because brain fog is real. Brain fog stems from what's called insulin resistance. Brain fog is an early sign it's not okay. Gut dysbiosis. All of this is to tell you that we need to feed our gut the right food. Food. Not a this pill or that pill or whatever, because most of those pills tear your gut apart. You have two types of fiber, and this is what we're talking about. Your gut. Anybody have mood swings? Anybody have depression, anxiety, just crazy mood swings, Crohn's, IBS, constipation, diarrhea, loose stools, cramps? Those all relate to what's going on, those little gremlins in your gut. It's called your gut biome. Life, micro, small life in your gut. Your large and small intestines, a lot in the large. That is also where, guess what? Your GLP-1 comes from, which is what? Something that helps tell you about being hungry or not. Now, some people are doing an agonist, which is a synthetic trying to trick it. And they're like with any other medication, there are cautions. And those cautions you can research on your own. Just write down pdr.net. pdr.net is a reference you can use to look at any medication that you're taking. And when you look at those medications, look at if there's a warning at the bottom. There's 4 different categories of ingredients and that kind of stuff. If there's says box warning, look at those. For example, you may rethink. For example, like there's some psoriasis medications that are known to cause pancreatic cancer. Just do some research. Because your gut is really, sometimes it's called your second brain. And what happens here too? What other hormones are involved here? Serotonin, dopamine, insulin, cortisol. Look at all the things related to gut dysbiosis. But notice anxiety, depression, asthma, Hashimoto's, right? Chronic fatigue syndrome, inflammation. So this is what your gut would look like if it was healthy, and this is if it's not so good. And can you identify with the not so good? Maybe you can identify some healthy. But look at those cravings, fatigue, brain fog. Brain fog again. Didn't we have brain fog with insulin resistance? Now I have it with gut dysbiosis. Jimmy, he's a riot. I had so much fun with him on our cruise. We work for the best company in the world, and Jimmy and I, we had a lot of fun on the cruise. 4-day cruise. Sabit, she's lupus, and look at that inflammation. Rheumatoid. How many of you heard that it's irreversible? It's chronic. It's going to get worse. Off lupus meds and our rheumatoid arthritis and type 2 diabetes and lost 40 pounds. You know those things you wouldn't want to have happen? Dr. Dieter, love. Dr. Dieter is such a cool guy, such a class act. He is a board, so he has 2 certifications as a physician. he knows better. This is what you used to look like. And you know what? He heard about, going ahead and fasting and running. So he starts running for 5 years. He can advance. But look what happened 2 months after he found out that food got us into this mess. Food will get us out. He can feel great. Look at that. What if that was you? What if you could do that? What else would you feel like? Dr. Jim. Now, Dr. Jim, now you like Dr. Jim. He's been in practice for, I think, 5 decades. He's a smidge older than me. But look what happened in 6 weeks to his belly. Can't call him Mr. Belly so big, can you? He's had to change his belt. He needs a new belt, needs new pants. And he continues. And it has more mental clarity. Dr. Anya, look at him. He is a doctorate of pharmacy. Look at the chisel and the mental clarity. Decreased brain fog. You see that? Decreased brain fog. Huh. Troy is amazing. Really, really look forward to being around him and things on the trips and conventions and learning and listening from him. He's just a great man. And you know what? Look at all the things that are gone. And what does he say? Migraines. He had migraines for 23 years. Doesn't have migraines. Isn't the brain? What else? Brain fog. Gone. Oh, again? Brain fog. Again, we're finding it? Oh, and by the way, he had stage 4 kidney. That's gone. So let's look at Alzheimer's and brain fog. No more depression. Look at that, 40 to 43. Do you think we're feeling a little bit better? No depression, no anxiety, sleep apnea, brain fog, migraines, more energy, and lost 60 pounds. Food got us into this mess. Food will get us out. Sue, I love Sue. Sue, if you're listening or if you're watching this later, I hope Mom's coming along. I heard Dad was okay. He was developing. I really hope Mom comes out of that surgery and really get her off the incubators and things. I'm praying for that. Intentions. I love you, girl. But Sue was in a position where they were looking, or her daughter, they were looking to put her in a nursing home. And she learned about the whole program of food got us into this mess, food will get us out. And look at her. What if you could be this? What if you could be this? What else could you be? How else would you feel? Sheridan, phenomenal. Sheridan was highly pharmaceuticalized for depression, anxiety for over 2 decades. Learning that food got us into this mess, food will get us out, got off the antidepressants, IBS, fatigue, those things are gone. Hormones are regulated. Look at how happy she looks. What else? What else could you do if you could feel this good again? If you could get rid of those medications, what else would happen? How else would that expand your relationships with your family, with your spouse, with your loved ones, at work environment, with your energy? What else could happen? How else could you be? and Brittany. First met Brittany and the Dr. Andrina's in Wisconsin. Phenomenal. But anxiety, fatigue, gout, brain fog, gone. Brain fog. Again, brain fog? And Cheryl. Identical twins, mirror twins. One had early onset in the 50s and died at 61, 7 years, 54 to 71. Age 54, died 71. Now, Megan's story with her mom, same kind of thing. And Megan started at 50s and she thought she was doomed, but she found food got us into this mess, food got us out. And this is my mom. This is my mom. This is a lady that did everything for us and for the communities. This girl, my mom, our mom, I'm the oldest of 10. We were raised in South Dakota, and I'm the oldest of 10, 5 boys and 5 girls. And this girl, our mom, did everything in the world for us. We were never not around her. She started Scout. She started swimming. She did so many things in our itty bitty community. I can't even tell you all the things that she did. But I know that if I would have known what I know now about metabolic health, our mom would not be in the bed with Alzheimer's. I've just shown you proof of everybody whose brain fog's been cleared up. My brain fog a year ago was so bad that one day I left the house and I drove to the stop sign, which is one house away from my home. And I forgot my phone. Turned around, went back to get my phone. Got my phone, locked the house, got in the car, went up to the stop sign, one house away from my home. Oh, I forgot my briefcase. Turn around, go in the driveway, get out of the car, unlock the house door, get in, get my briefcase. Now I've got my briefcase, I got my phone, get back in the car. Got to the stop sign. No. I forgot my lunch. Turn around. Guys, I went back and forth 5 times that morning before I actually could finally leave. 5 times. Oh, and by the way, when I went into the house to find the different things, I had to find them. They weren't all just sitting on a counter. Have you forgotten something once or twice? Yeah. That's brain fog. That's a sign you've got issues. About that same time, now this is before I got my blood work done in October of last year, 24. I'd be talking and I would forget mid-sentence what I was going to say. And if I was talking to you, I would be able to, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, there's an M in there. It starts with this. It has these vowels, whatever. And if I thought in my head I had enough time of silence that people are going to start thinking, I would ask a question about something over here. I would divert the conversation. I'd get off until I could come up with whatever it was, if I ever did. And sometimes I could finish that sentence, but it'd be the next day. I forget people's names. Good thing we have GPS. I just have to remember where I was going to put the information in the GPS. Go to the grocery store, forget what you went there for. Come on with all kinds of stuff and then you get home and oh shoot, it was eggs or milk or whatever it was that you needed that you didn't get. Everything but that. Then you forget names, you forget tasks, the recipe you make all the time. Songs, you forget the lyrics, things that you've sung out a gazillion different. Those are all signs that something's up. That type of brain fog isn't because we're getting older. That type of brain fog is dealing with something like this. We don't want you. I don't want you. You don't want you to be there. Now, my mom's 96. Mom's 96. And on our birthday, I always sing her happy birthday day. But I love my mom. I'm not ready. I am not ready for this. No, I can't save your mom. Or maybe I could. But we can't save mom. I can't reverse it out of the way anymore. I can't. This girl, our mom, right here, 10 years ago, was inducted to the South Dakota Sport Hall of Fame for all the things she's done on behalf of youth and the amateur athletic union, AAU, and that. At age 51, mom moved back to college at age 56, had her RN and a doctorate. Age 51, after having 10 of his kids. Mom is the matriarch of a 10-generation family, or a 5-generation family, excuse me. There's 10 of his kids, but 5 generations. I want to live long enough to be the first male to have 5 generations. Now, mom, we have our own home. The 10 of us, and there's no way in yesterday tomorrow we'll ever let her go into a care. We have boots on the ground. We have family 24/7. We have respite for the caregiver, that's family. The 10 of us come in at least once a month. Everybody takes at least a month that they come in to visit and be there with mom. I don't want you to go down this path. I've reversed, so I don't go down this path. I would like to make sure that nobody needlessly goes down this path. So that's why we have a thing every Sunday night. And tonight was just me. But want to talk to you that it is real, but it is fixable, reversible, preventable. Just want to go down stories, show you that it's real, show you that things can improve. Very simple. The protocol that we follow improves those things. But the idea is that there are things you can do, but you have to first realize that food got us into this mess and food can get us out. Next show, next Sunday, I'm going to focus on caregivers, caregiving. That's what we're going to focus on is caregiving. Another show we'll do will really be interviews on science, listening to some of the experts in the field for caregiving for Alzheimer's. So I thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, just reach out to me directly. I wish you all a very loving and careful, carefree, joyful Thanksgiving. And have some of these discussions, honest discussions with friends and family. Let's see what we can do to become healthier on purpose, with purpose. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving.